Hey people, today we're going to be reading Chapter 12 of I Survived the Bombing of Pearl Harbor in 1941 by Lauren Tarshis. The next 24 hours rushed by in a blur of sirens, blood, and moaning. Shouting men. Blood, sirens, and moaning. Shouting men. But Annie barely had time to think about any of it. He was too busy. After the first moment when he and Ma saw each other, Ma hugged Danny so tight she almost cracked his ribs. Then he hugged her back even tighter. She put Danny to work in the hospital. Hundreds of Hickam men had been wounded, but they were the lucky ones. About a dozen had died, dozens have died, when a bomb destroyed the barracks while men were just waking up. Dozens more never made it out of the dining hall when the bomb set it on fire. Others had been hit on the runways and the hangars, or while firing machine guns back at the bombers. There were only 2 doctors and 2 nurses at Hickam. They needed every spare hand they could find. Danny helped soldiers and volunteers make beds, sweep glass off the floor. He rolled bandages and found extra blankets for the men recovering from surgery. He watched Ma as she hurried from man to man, changing bandages, holding hands, never flinching. Miss Sudo was right. She was brave. A few times, Danny managed to peep in on Mac. Ma said he'd been given a powerful drug to take away the pain. He'd lost almost half his blood, but Ma said he'd survive. As bad as the things were at Hickam, Danny knew they were even worse in the harbor. All reports trickled in. The battleship Arizona was gone, along with more than 1,000 men. The Oklahoma was capsized, and more than 100 men were still trapped inside. The California was sinking. The destroyers Shaw and Cassin were exploded. Other ships were badly damaged. For most of the day, Pearl Harbor was a sea of fire. Even men who managed to escape the burning ships had little chance of survival. Hundreds of planes at different bases had been destroyed or badly damaged. Hospitals all over Oahu were overflowing with wounded men. Danny heard at school that a school had been turned into a hospital. Everyone expected another attack. There were whispers about a Japanese invasion of Hawaii. Danny tried not to think about this, about how easy it would be for the Japanese to take over the island with so many ships and planes wrecked. The hours trickled by with no more Japanese planes. But America was now at war. Danny knew that it would be months or even years before the sound of a plane in the sky didn't make him jump. It was until the next morning that Ma and Danny finally got to sit together. Ma slumped in her chair, more tired than Danny had ever seen her. Her white uniform was splattered with blood, but she listened closely as Danny told the story of how he had met Aki and when he had saw the first planes. Ma told him about the terrifying first minutes when the bombs started dropping on Hickam. "We'll remember the first moment for the rest of our lives," Ma said. When she let out a strange sigh. "To think I got you out of New York City because I wanted you to be in a safe place." She shook her head, and he could see her fighting back tears. "I'm glad we're here." The words came out before Danny realized what he was saying, and Ma liked hearing them. She smiled a little. Just then, one of the doctors peeked his head in and said he needed Ma for surgery. "See you soon," she said. She said to Danny as she headed out the door. "Don't go away, okay?" She was joking, Danny knew, because where could he go from here? He was thinking about the shame of his plan to leave in the Carmela. Would he really have gone? If those planes hadn't attacked today, would Danny be on that ship? He couldn't say. It seemed impossible. Only 24 hours had passed since he saw the first planes, because everything seemed to be completely different now. Not just because the harbor was in ruins, but because America was now at war. But Danny too. Not just because America was at war, but Danny too. Maybe yesterday morning he had met the kind of boy who would leave his ma. He would never know for sure. But he knew this. He wasn't any kind of boy anymore.